Even Trump looks weak next to these two women. Today we're diving into the lives of two of the most powerful women in the world. Women whose influence reaches so far that even Donald Trump's power looks small in comparison. One is known for her elegance and charm. The other for her secrecy and fear. Both stand behind some of the most controversial leaders on the planet. But in many ways, they are more powerful than the men themselves. Our first story begins in China, where a woman who once stood on stage as a singer ended up becoming the face of the nation. According to Forbes, China's president is often described as one of the most powerful men alive. But what if the person standing quietly beside him, smiling, graceful, elegant, holds a very different kind of power? For decades, Peng Liyuan wasn't just China's first lady. She was a superstar, a national icon, and to many, the true face of modern China. Some even whisper that she overshadows her husband. But is that really true? Or is her influence something even bigger than political power itself? For much of China's history, leaders' families remained invisible. Wives rarely appeared in public, let alone held their husband's hand in front of cameras. The Chinese Communist Party valued secrecy and formality. Family life was considered private, and leaders were often portrayed as larger-than-life figures, rather than relatable people. That all changed when Xi Jinping rose to power alongside Peng Liyuan. Unlike the stiff, distant image of past first couples, Xi and Peng were often seen walking side by side, hands interlocked. This simple gesture may not seem like much to outsiders, but in China it was a cultural shock. It sent a message. The new leadership wasn't just about politics, but about projecting an image of warmth, unity, and even love. And at the center of this shift stood Peng Liyuan. Not just a spouse, but a woman whose name had been famous long before her husband's. Peng's story begins in Shandong province in 1962. Born to an opera singer mother and a scholarly father, she inherited both talent and discipline. At only 14, she entered Shandong University of Arts, specializing in folk music. By 18, she had joined the People's Liberation Army, not as a soldier on the front lines, but as a performer in the Arts and Culture division. Her role wasn't just entertainment. In a country where music often carried political weight, she became the voice of patriotic songs. At 21, she performed in China's famous New Year's Eve Gala, a television special watched by hundreds of millions. Her performance stunned the nation. Overnight, Peng Liyuan wasn't just another singer, she was a household name. Every year she returned to that stage, her voice becoming the soundtrack of an entire generation. Songs like On the Plains of Hope earned her the nickname the Peony Fairy, a symbol of beauty and grace. But while her voice made her a star, fate was about to introduce her to someone who would change the course of her life forever. By the mid-1980s, Peng was already a superstar. Xi Jinping, on the other hand, was a relatively unknown politician, 10 years older, divorced, and working as the deputy mayor of Xiamen. When friends introduced them in 1986, their first meeting didn't feel like a fairy tale. Xi didn't even know who she was. On their first date, he asked bluntly, "What kind of songs do you sing? I don't watch much television." For a woman adored by hundreds of millions, his indifference was shocking. But Peng admired his intelligence and seriousness. Within 40 minutes, Xi had already decided she was the one. A year later, they married in secret. For decades, she remained more famous than him. While Peng's voice filled living rooms, Xi climbed the political ladder slowly and quietly. By 2012, Xi was president. But for millions, Peng had already been their star for decades. And when Xi traveled abroad as First Lady, the world quickly realized something that China already knew. She had a presence that even presidents couldn't match. On Xi's first state visit to Russia in 2013, international media compared Peng to Jackie Kennedy and Michelle Obama. Newspapers in the West described her elegance, her sophisticated fashion, and her calm demeanor. Chinese women copied her outfits, and social media buzzed with "same style as Peng." She was no longer just a singer. She was China's image to the world. But with great fame comes great risk, and soon Peng's popularity began to worry the very government she represented. The Communist Party, after all, had always been cautious of celebrity. Too much attention on one individual, especially a woman, could destabilize the carefully controlled image of the leadership. Reports suggest that Peng's fame began to make China's leadership uneasy. A patriarchal system couldn't allow a wife to overshadow the president. Slowly, Peng's public career was scaled back. Just across the border in North Korea, another woman has risen from the shadows. Unlike Peng, who built her power through song and elegance, this woman built hers through propaganda, secrecy, and manipulation. And some believe that if her brother ever falls, she could become the most dangerous woman alive. Not long ago, the internet exploded with rumors that Kim Jong-un had died. For 3 weeks, his absence fueled wild speculation. Was North Korea preparing for a new leader? And if so, was his younger sister, Kim Yo-jong, ready to step into the role? The idea was both thrilling and chilling. On one hand, some optimists imagined her as a possible reformer. On the other, experts warned that her reign could be even more ruthless than her brother's. Born in the late 1980s, she spent part of her childhood in Switzerland, studying alongside her brother. Later, she earned a degree in computer science in Pyongyang. While Kim Jong-un became the face of the dictatorship, Yo-jong slipped into the shadows, working behind the scenes. By 2014, she had become deputy director of the Propaganda and Agitation Department, the powerful arm of the state that controls North Korea's newspapers, television, posters, and even the slogans on the street. Every article, every image, every song praising the Kim family passes through her office. In North Korea, propaganda isn't just media, it's survival. Citizens must obey the narrative or risk prison camps, not just for themselves, but for their families. And Kim Yo-jong has been the architect of much of this machinery. In 2017, she joined the Politburo, North Korea's most powerful decision-making body. Few women have ever reached that level, and her appointment sent a clear signal. She wasn't just her brother's sister, she was his closest ally. Analysts compared her to a Machiavellian strategist, letting Kim Jong-un play the loud, unpredictable role while she maneuvered carefully in the background. Her eldest brother Kim Jong-nam had been critical of the regime. In 2017, he was assassinated in Malaysia with a nerve agent in one of the most shocking political killings of the decade. 2 women lured him in, pretending to film a prank show before spraying poison in his face. Many believe the assassination could never have happened without approval from the very top, and some suspect Kim Yo-jong's hand in ensuring the plot's success. Unlike her brother, Yo-jong rarely gives speeches. She doesn't appear in state media as often, but when she does, her words are sharp, often laced with threats to South Korea, the United States, or defectors abroad. While Kim Jong-un is known for his theatrics, Yo-jong's menace is quieter, and some say more dangerous. So, is she destined to succeed him? That's the question dividing experts. Some insist she is the only logical heir. Others argue that North Korea's deeply patriarchal system would never allow a woman to rule outright. When Kim disappeared in 2020, speculation about her rise wasn't random. It was recognition that she already holds more power than nearly anyone else in the country. And that brings us back to the bigger question. On one side of Asia, Peng Liyuan represents elegance, culture, and the ability to win hearts without holding office. On the other side, Kim Yo-jong embodies secrecy, propaganda, and the ability to instill fear without wearing the crown. Both remind us that power isn't always about titles. Sometimes it's about influence. Sometimes it's about control. And sometimes it's about shaping the story that people believe. Peng Liyuan does it through song and image. Kim Yo-jong does it through propaganda and silence. So, who is truly more powerful? The First Lady who captured the hearts of millions? Or the sister who could one day rule the most secretive nation on Earth? The answer may depend not on politics, but on what we fear and what we admire.